Hi, so I am 28M, and my ex-wife, Kathy, is 27F. She recently got married to her boyfriend of 3 years, Jonathan, who is 32M. They have been married for 6 months. Kathy and I had been married quite a long time ago, and that marriage had only lasted for a year. We got married right out of college, as soon as we graduated, and it was a very small and intimate ceremony. We had been together since high school, since our sophomore year, to be more precise. We had even attended the same college, so getting married just seemed like the right step to take. But even though we had been together for so long before that, things didn't work out between us. We were fighting almost every day, and about a year into our marriage, I decided that I could not do this anymore, and I wanted to leave. Maybe it might have been a hasty decision since I had not exactly fallen out of love with her, but I was just sick of fighting with her. And she's really proud, so when I told her that I wanted a divorce, she did not even try to fight to stay with me, and she just said that I could go if I wanted to. And we ended up getting divorced. Both of us were really immature and were definitely not ready for marriage because that's a big deal. We had a lot of growing up to do, and unfortunately, I don't think we would have been able to do it if we had stayed together at that point in time. But during the divorce, she realized that she was pregnant, and we had to factor that in as well. I had thought that we would never talk to each other after we got divorced, but the fact that we were going to have a baby changed everything. She wanted to be a mother, and I definitely wanted to be a father. We tried to work past our differences, but honestly, I thought that it would be better for us to part ways instead. She wanted us to cancel the divorce proceedings and try to work things out and get help from a professional. But I was determined to leave. I had made up my mind, and I was not going to back down. So I told her that we could have shared custody of the child and try to co-parent the baby. We could even live close to each other during the initial stages because, at that time, the baby needed their mother the most, but she was not happy about any of it, and she just wanted to continue our marriage. So we had a lot of disagreements during that time, and things were very difficult. But eventually, we were able to come to a conclusion, and we decided that we would be taking turns with our child, and we would do our best to keep the peace for the sake of our future child. I can understand why she wanted to stay married, but honestly, I had only gotten married because I thought that was what people should do. She had been talking about getting married ever since we were in our second year of college, even though I did not feel emotionally ready for that kind of commitment. I wanted to make a life of my own before I settled down with somebody, but I did not want to break her heart. And I knew that if I had told her that I did not feel ready to get married, she probably would have left me, or we would have at least been fighting. So I decided to just get married for the sake of it. But after a year of being married to her, I realized that this was not my cup of tea, and I wanted to make my own way in life. So that was the reason why I wanted to get a divorce. And after I realized that we were going to have a baby, that resolve strengthened even more, because I myself was not even happy in this marriage, so I did not think that it would be appropriate to stay married, and then bring a baby into the world, and then put him through all of our unhappiness. If I was not happy with her, and she was not happy with me, then it would have been better for us to part ways, and try to co-parent our child peacefully, instead of putting him through bad situations during his childhood. Having divorced parents from such a young age would have its own set of challenges, I will give you that. But at least he would not grow up in a troubled household. That was my reasoning. She believed that we should have stuck together and stayed married because she thought that that would have been the best for the baby. But anyway, that's all in the past. With great difficulty, I managed to get her to agree to my terms, and we got divorced, but we continued to stay in touch for the sake of our baby. And we still have continued that arrangement. Our son spends half the month at Kathy's place and the other half at mine. I try to be there for him as much as I can, and so does she. I can't say that we are friends. I know she still has a lot of animosity towards me, and rightfully so. But I did my best, and I do have a lot of love for her in my heart, but I wanted her to be able to have her own life as well. I was aware that she would never be able to truly be happy with me since my heart was not in the marriage. I loved her, but I wanted other things in life, and I was just not ready for marriage. That was my mistake. I acknowledge that and I accept it. Anyway, after our divorce, I was still there for her in a platonic capacity, and as a father. I accompanied her to all of her appointments, and when our son was born, I was there with her every step of the way. I even stayed with her for a couple of days, to make sure that she was right. I did everything that a good father and a good partner should do, but in spite of all of that, she would tell everybody about how I had abandoned her when she needed me the most and made me seem like some monster. Most of my friends stopped speaking to me because of her, but I didn't even bring that up with her. I continued to do my duties as a partner and a father. I accepted it because I knew that I had wronged her by marrying her when I was not ready to do it. That was not something that I should have done, and I figured that this was my punishment for doing that. And I was okay with it. There was nothing much that I could do about the situation, because if I stopped speaking to her at that point, and picked a fight with her for telling all our friends such things about me, it would only prove her words to be true. The strange thing was that, even after she was going around, telling our friends such things about me, she was always nice to me whenever we would meet. To be honest, I actually used to feel like she was willing to get back together with me, even though she had been spreading lies about me. It was quite confusing if I'm being honest. Because on the one hand, she was trying to ruin my reputation, and in front of our friends, and on the other hand, she was always nice to me to my face and acted like she could not live without me, and still loved me. Not knowing what to make of it, I just decided to focus on my work, and after our son was a couple of months old, she went back to work, and we started meeting less frequently. She started seeing other men about after her year of our divorce, and I would hear from a couple of my friends, who had still bothered to stay in touch with me, that she was back to dating. I won't say that it didn't hurt me, because, even though I was the one who had filed and pressed on for a divorce, I still love her. But I did not say anything to her about it, because I wanted her to be happy, and I had made my choice. So, even if I was unhappy, I just had to suck it up and deal with it. In my defense, both of us were very young and confused about our emotions, so that's why things were the way that they were. She would always make a huge deal out of her dates as well, so everybody would be able to find out about it. Then, after a few months, she realized that I had not commented about it, so she decided to bring it up with me herself and told me that she was now dating other people, so she was sorry if I felt bad about it, but she just wanted to tell me about it, so I did not have to find out from other people. She knew quite well that I did not say anything about it, and I told her that I was cool with it. She seemed a little disappointed when I did not pursue the topic further and just left with my son. It was like she wanted me to talk to her about it and ask her if she had moved on and stuff. Things were always very hot and cold and confusing between us. I think that much is obvious now. After that conversation, she stopped making such a big deal out of her dates on social media, and I knew that it definitely had something to do with me showing her that I did not care about it. And then, one day, she came to pick our son up from my apartment, but it started raining, so we decided to invite her in so she could spend the evening with us until it stopped raining outside. I did it as a courtesy, and by then, it had already been almost close to 2 years since we got divorced, so I thought it would be okay. We got to talking and our son was napping in the other room. After one point, we were reminiscing about our past, and out of nowhere, she came to me. And I still loved her, even though I was not with her anymore. So we ended up sleeping together. She spent the night at my place and it felt good, but the next day, she left before breakfast, or before I had even woken up, and had taken our son with her. She messaged me to tell me that it had been a mistake, and she did not want to get back together with me anymore. I was shattered, but that was her choice and I respected that. I accepted the fact that this had just been a one-time thing and tried not to think too much of it, and chalked it up to the weather outside and the fact that I had invited her in. Also, she must have been lonely after our divorce, because I know that I had been, and at that age, there were not a lot of people who were looking to date single parents. There were a lot of things, and I decided not to make a big deal out of it, and we went back to our cordial relationship as parents, not partners. I started distancing myself from her after that, and I only started talking to her about our son, nothing else. She tried to talk to me and get back to normal several times after that incident, but rejected every attempt of hers to try and get back on good terms with me. And then she started dating Jonathan. He was a good guy. I knew him since he was the older brother of one of our common friends from school. I was happy for her because I knew that Jonathan was a solid man and he would definitely keep her happy. After they got together, our interactions decreased even more, and we were fine with it. Because now, she had somebody and I was trying to move on from her and get on with my life and career. So over the course of the past 3 years, we had drastically reduced our interactions. Jonathan was always nice to me whenever I would visit them to either pick up or drop off my son. And that's why I feel especially bad for what I did to the guy just a couple of weeks before his wedding. You guys have probably already been able to guess where I'm going with this. I'm not proud of it, and I think it's one of the worst things that I have done in my entire life, but yes, I slept with Kathy one last time, before she got married. I guess she had cold feet or something, but she just showed up at my apartment a couple of weeks before her wedding. I think there must have been just 1 month to go until the big day, and I definitely did not expect her to show up at my house at that point, because we had made it a point to never speak to each other unless it had something to do with our son. And at that time, our son was at her place, so I was very confused when she showed up that day. But it was really late at night and I was curious, so I opened the door to her, and she literally just fell into my arms. She was crying and telling me that she really missed me and that she had made a huge mistake, and confessed to me that everything that she had been doing for the past couple of years was all to get me back. She told me that she had never been able to move on, but she knew that I wanted different things from life than her, and we were not compatible together. And even if we did end up getting back together, it was very unlikely that it would be any different from the first time that we were married. She was just very confused about what to do, and so, she had been playing mind games with me and acting all hot and cold, so that explained a lot of things. I confessed to her that I had not been able to move on either, and I was very confused about my feelings too. We ended up kissing, and one thing led to another, and before we knew it, we had done it. I felt really guilty about it later, and I still feel bad, but I loved Kathy and I really thought that after that incident, at least, she would dump Jonathan and be with me instead. But once again, that did not happen. She woke up the next morning and started crying, and I had to console her. She told me that she loved Jonathan and she was just scared that this would not work out, once again. It broke my heart that she actually loved him and she was just me to distract herself from the fact that she was getting married and she was so scared. She begged me to keep this a secret because she did not want to jeopardize her relationship with Jonathan, and hooking up with me had only made her realize that she actually loved him, because if she did not, she would not have felt guilty about it. And she required me to lie to everybody as well and never tell anyone about this incident. I honestly did not want to be the guy she kept on the back burner. I also did not want to ruin her relationship because I was sure that I was not going to gain anything from it. So I told her that I was not going to tell anyone, and she left. She got married, and that was it. I was very disappointed with the way that things turned out because I actually had started to believe that she was going to come back eventually. Because at this age, I'm pretty much ready to get remarried and I still love her. I never been able to move on. But after she got married to Jonathan, it seemed unlikely. And after what happened a couple of days ago, it seems even more unlikely that we are going to end up together. No amount of love and affection is going to change the fact that she's really not a good person. I realized that a long time ago, but it just took a lot of time for me to come to terms with that. I had always held out hope that maybe she would change, but I don't think that's going to happen. I might be a terrible person as well, but at least, I don't hurt other people and go out of my way to mess with their feelings. And she definitely does that. She probably enjoys it as well, which is why she did everything that she did in the past. It's all definitely sick and twisted, and I don't deny the fact that I encouraged it and engaged with her, but she is always the one who initiates things, and I don't think I can be blamed for most of it because she knows about my feelings towards her and it's her responsibility not to take advantage of it. But anyway, a couple of days ago, she invited me to my son's birthday party and I decided to attend. Usually, whichever parent our son is staying with at the time celebrates his birthday, and after the other parent gets him, they celebrate it separately. Our son is pretty lucky that way, he gets to have 2 birthdays. But anyway, this year, she thought that it would be better for us to have one birthday party because he was getting older and it was getting too much. So I agreed to split the cost of the party with her and be there for him. But when I got to the party, I realized that her energy that day was quite off. And she started making jokes at my expense as soon as I walked in. I got there pretty late, after work. Most of the guests had arrived by that time, so the first thing she did was take digs at me, about how I was late to my son's birthday party, and that's what happens when you put work over everything. Obviously, that was a thinly veiled attempt to insult me for our divorce, because I had to put work over her. Then, she started making fun of my receding hairline, which is so surprising because there are 100 things about her that I can make fun of when it comes to appearances. And I did not see that coming because it was quite embarrassing for me. Also, we are grown adults, I don't think it's very appropriate to pick on each other like kindergarten kids. At that point, Jonathan joined the conversation and told me that he thought it was because of all the stress that I put myself through. And then, they started suggesting that I take some time off from work and try to actually live life because it was very apparent that I was not living well, and I had made some pretty bad life choices. When I asked them to elaborate, something that I should not have done because there was no need to do it at that place and time, they started telling me all the reasons that they thought that I had screwed my life up. I shouldn't even have asked because I knew that this was not going to end well and was going to be very embarrassing for me. But then they started listing out completely stupid reasons, like saying that my first divorce with my ex-wife was a bad choice because clearly, it did not lead to anything good in my life because I was still single. And then, putting work above every single thing in my life was an even worse choice because now, I was getting late to my own son's birthday parties, and I also lost opportunities to spend time with my family because of it. I don't think it took into consideration the fact that I had to work. Unlike them, I don't come from a very rich family, and I have to pave my own way. I did not say anything, but I was just shocked that Kathy was saying these things and Jonathan was actually supporting her. At that point, I started feeling less bad about what I had done a couple of months ago. After they were done talking to me and went to entertain the other guests, I decided to write a little note on my birthday present because I was pissed and I wanted to let Kathy know that I was not saying anything at the party because of my son, but the next time that she did to say such things, I would not shy away from revealing her secrets. I did not write much, I just wrote, "I still know your secret and I know you don't want anybody else to learn about it, so watch your words around me." And then, I snuck out of the party and went back home. I did not want to see Kathy, and I had already spoken to my son. He was busy having fun with his friends, as he should be. So I know that I was not missed after that. The next morning, I received a call from Kathy around 9 and she was crying. Obviously, she had read the note and she told me that she was really sorry about the things that she had said. She was just upset with me because I was late and our son had been asking about me several times before I even showed up, and they even had to cut the cake without me because I was late. But it was not even my fault. I had left work on time, but there was really bad traffic on my way back home. And that's why I got late, not because I was prioritizing work over my son. I did not appreciate what they were saying, and especially the fact that she was saying such things, after the kind of relationship that we have had. So she started begging me not to bring this up again, but I had a realization the previous night that I was screwing my life up. Not because of the reasons that they said, but because of the fact that I had given Kathy repeated chances to change. I did not promise anything to her on the phone and I just told her that I was busy and I would talk to her later. But now, I am considering actually going up to Jonathan and letting him know the truth. Because I don't think I want to live with this anymore. It's weighing on my conscience as well. I can't do this. All I want to know is, Wibta, if I told my ex-wife's husband the truth about her? Update 1. It has been a week since the party and I have been no contact with Kathy. Also, I did it and I sent a message about how Kathy had cheated on him before the wedding. I think that really helped me because I feel a lot more relieved than I usually do. It feels like a huge burden has been taken off of my chest, and I can finally breathe again. After I sent that message and the proof of her being at my place that night, a month before the wedding, I blocked Jonathan and Kathy. I know that I will have to meet her eventually when I go to her place to pick up my son a couple of weeks later, but for now, I don't have to speak to her. I have also told everybody I know to keep her out of our conversations. I did what I had to do and I am not going to be made to feel guilty or sorry about it. I shared my side of the story and I spoke my truth. I am done with that episode. I don't want to keep discussing it and I don't want to know what she's going through right now. Because I'm sure it's nothing compared to what Jonathan and I went through because of her indecisiveness. And honestly, we don't even have a lot of friends in common anymore. I'm sure that people who are just her friends will definitely try to come and make me feel guilty about it. But as of now, nothing has happened yet. I sent that message about 4 days ago and up until this point, I have not received any messages or threats, so I'm figuring that they have not told people yet. But I know that when that news comes out, people are gonna try their best. I'm mentally prepared for that. I'm not gonna let it happen. Update 2. Just as I had expected, the news of their divorce is now broken. It has been 2 weeks since I sent that message to Jonathan. I've not heard from him. I don't think he has anything left to say to me because what do you even say to the guy who hooked up with your wife? But anyway, she sent her cronies after me, soon after the news broke. I have a bunch of her family members and her friends texting me, telling me that I ruined their marriage and that I am a sociopath. They believe that I did this because I wanted her all to myself, but they could not be further from the truth. I just did this to get rid of my own guilt. Maybe it was her fault, but it was my mistake too and I need to up the things that I do. I want to be a good father and before that, I have to be able to be a good person. The only person that I feel sorry for, in this situation, is Jonathan. He is a really nice guy, he did not deserve any of this. But at least I told him about everything and now, he can leave. He can find somebody better for himself. I'm glad that he's getting a divorce, he deserves better. Maybe I don't. I dug my grave the day that I married Kathy, even though I was not ready for it. Both of us are terrible people and I guess we deserve each other. Update 3. So it's been almost a month since they announced their divorce. I went over to Kathy's place last week to pick our son up and she didn't even bother to come to the door. Our son had no idea what was going on and he told me that his mother had been in a state ever since she and Jonathan had that big fight. He was the one who told me that now, every day, his grandmother, Kathy's mother, comes to take care of him, cook for everyone, and keep the house in order because Kathy has stopped going out to work and just spends the entire day sleeping in her room. Obviously, the kid is very confused and has no idea what's going on. Nobody has told him anything. He keeps asking me why Uncle Jonathan left the house and the two of them are fighting and I have no idea what to tell him. It's heartbreaking. I guess I feel kind of guilty. But I know that I did the right thing, so I don't need to. It's just hard for me, as a father. Her friends and family are still texting me about it and trying to make me look like the bad guy, but I'm not bothered about what they think of me. Update 4. Hey, guys. I realize that I have not updated this thread in almost a year now. So sorry about that. Kathy is divorced now and has been for a couple of months. She is in therapy and is living in the suburbs now, 4 hours away from where I live. Earlier, we used to live close by, because of our son and to make the commute easier for him. But not anymore. She moved away to keep her distance from everything. Especially me. She told me a couple of days after her divorce proceedings began, that she still loves me deep down, but she has a lot of issues to work through, and we are not good for each other right now. If we are really meant to end up together, life will find a way. But for now, we have to stay separately. I guess that's true. We have even modified our custody arrangements, so our son can spend the weekend with her and the rest of the week with me. I still love her, but I hope she gets better with time. And I hope I do too. Because I am also going to therapy, I'm trying to work everything out. Maybe both of us will be better one day. We might even be happy in the future, maybe with each other and maybe not. But I'm gonna try and get there somehow.